Welcome to the High Ticket Success Podcast, where premium coaches, consultants, and advisors come for bold strategies, big breakthroughs, and real results. I'm your host, Dave DeBow. Well, hey folks, welcome to this episode of the High Ticket Success Podcast. I'm your host, Dave DeBow. And today I've got a very old friend joining me, DJ Richoux. DJ, I've known of, I'm going to say probably since around 1995, 6, 7-ish, 8, I don't know. Around that, I was actually living in Costa Rica, and I was getting Dan Kennedy's No BS marketing newsletter. And I can remember reading about these crazy Canadians, DJ Richoux and Alan Jacks. I can read about them every once in a while, and Dan Kennedy's newsletter, the smart stuff they were doing and the cool marketing stuff they're doing. Well, that sounds pretty neat. Then fast forward to 10 years or something like that. I moved back to Canada in 2003, and I start going to a local kind of a meetup group of Glazer Kennedy nerds, marketing nerds that were all into this kind of stuff. And lo and behold, who do I bump into? This DJ Richoux guy. And we became fast friends, and we've known each other personally for, I'm going to say, probably 20 years now. And DJ is one of the smartest marketers I know, especially from a strategic, big picture kind of point of view. He's been a very good strategic partner for a lot of big names in the industry, including our mutual friend, Dan the Man Locke. And most recently these days, he's been the marketing right-hand guy for Mr. Ted Thomas in the real estate business. So DJ, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here. Yeah, it's hard to believe how 20 years have flown by this fast.
Well, some of us are showing it more than others are. So I don't know what's going on there, but hey, it's what it is. So DJ, why don't we just kind of zoom out for a second here? And right now, in the context of you working with Ted Thomas and what you guys do, who is the market that you serve? And what are the results that you're helping them to get? So who do you serve and what do you help them accomplish?
Sure. We would say the term that we serve, what we would call, mom and pop investors, which are people that are just buying, one or two real estate properties. And we focus in what we call the distressed property market. So that's buying houses for, let's say, 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. They're distressed. They're bought at generally a tax auction of some kind. And, our process is to help those people. And our average student is, someone that's between 50 to 65 or 70 years of age. They wanted to get into real estate. This is a good low risk way to get into real estate because, they're buying these houses at a discount. And, we just help focus on, we work with a lot of different students that, their ideal goal is to do 1 or 2 property deals a year. And, we try to get them to make, anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 on a deal. Sometimes we, hit it really big, and we have students make $80,000, sometimes $100,000 on one deal. So if they can do a couple deals a year, make between 50 and 100 grand, that's the market that we serve.
Right. So you're helping newbies get into the real estate market, and the primary focus is doing tax liens and tax deeds.
Yeah. There are other people that just want another strategy to get, acquire properties, another acquisition strategy for getting properties.
All right. So let's zoom out for a second. And you've been in the whole speaking, selling, marketing, info products, coach, closes things since 2000.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So how did you kind of get into this? And just give us like the 60-second version of how you got into it and how you stuck it out for 25 years in this weird and wonderful industry.
Yeah, that is a weird ride. I sort of stumbled upon it. There was a person that you mentioned, which was Alan Jacks. He was a real estate speaker based out of Vancouver, Canada. He had started what was known as the Real Estate Investment Network. I'd read about Alan in a couple of Robert Kiyosaki's books and Harry Dent's book. And I had the same thing as you. I was like, who is this guy? I mean, I want to meet this guy. Long story short, I stumbled and I met Alan. It was an interesting time in my life. He was looking for a marketing assistant. I blindly went in and, quit my current job that I had, which was a good salary job, and decided, I'm going to start this entrepreneurial venture. I became a marketing assistant with Alan. And then within 6 months of that, basically, I became Alan's business partner. And that's how that whole adventure started.
Okay. Very, very cool. So you've been working with Ted for how long now, DJ? It's been quite a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, on and off over the last 2 decades. So I met Ted early on. I think I met Ted in 2002, through the Dan Kennedy Circle. That was the connection. And at that time, we were bringing Ted Thomas up to Canada to speak and do presentations. So I'd met him back then, and I've worked with him, on and off in different capacities over the last 2 decades.
So Ted has had some amazing longevity in the business. We were just talking a little bit off camera that I believe at this point, Ted is somewhere around 85 years old and still just going strong. What would you say is the secret sauce that you guys have for the success of your business and the longevity of the business?
I think the secret sauce is a couple things. One, for example, like Ted and the team, they can really relate and they really know the client. So we hear a lot about marketing, really understanding your client, understanding your market. I think, Ted's just a master of, being able to understand the client in the market that he's working in, the market that he's serving with. It's changed a little bit over time, but it's always reconnecting with, really truly understanding what that market wants and needs. And then Ted just having such a strong belief that his product will work, that it'll deliver value to the clients. And he's always been willing to adapt. And he's always been the innovator in this distressed property niche about, first person to do, buying tours and it, having, instead of just having a low level coach, really having, 3 or 4 high level coaches that are well trained, innovating, online courses that he's done and everything else. He's always just been a leader and innovator. I think that's what's made him successful or keeps us, sort of ahead of the rest of the competition.
So the name of this show is the High Ticket Success Podcast. So DJ, for you in the context of working with Ted, what does high ticket mean for you guys? And where does that kind of fit into your business model?
Well, I mean, in our business, we sell coaching programs. We do sell a home study course to start people off. But if people really want to accelerate to have success and get to their first successful deal faster, then we offer, coaching programs, which would be considered high ticking. So our coaching programs, start at $10,000 and they've gone up to as high as $60,000 since I've worked with Ted. So, a variation of those. And I think most people will learn in this business that, the profit in a lot of these businesses in the high ticket sale and making sure that you can fulfill it properly and, have a good quality product. So for us, it's the life of the business. If we didn't have the high ticket sale, there wouldn't be any business. The business would have dried up and shut down a long time ago.
So you kind of do you have an ascension model where you get people in on a low ticket item and then gradually upsell them into the coaching services? How does that typically work for you?
Yeah, we do some variations of the way. What works well for us now is selling, what we do is sell a $47 ticket that goes to a 6-hour virtual workshop that we do every Saturday, which generally sells them into a $2,000 home study program, which gives you some facilitator calls, a little bit of group coaching. And then from there, we ascend them up to the next level of coaching. And generally that coaching level, as I said, starts at, 10,000, but our average coaching sale is probably closer to 15 or 18,000, and it just depends how much extra help and service that you need that'll allow you to keep ascending up the ladder. So, but most students are probably becoming around that, $18,000 to $20,000 mark would be, I would say, our typical student.
Okay. Very, very cool. So based on your context working in the whole industry for 25 plus years now, teaching, which is amazing. So, and you've got a really good perspective on this because not only were you part of the whole Glaser Kennedy thing for many years, but you and Alan brought many coaches and professional salespeople and stage speakers on your tours and to your audiences. So you've seen a ton over the years. What do you think really separates the coaches and consultants who struggle to sell their high ticket thing from those that thrive with this? What do you think the biggest differences might be?
Well, one, I think it's belief and mindset. So, what we've learned over time is that in a lot of cases, if there's value in the offer, it's just as easy to sell something for $10,000 as it is for $1,000, or something for $20,000 versus $2,000, or something for $50,000 or $60,000 worth something that's 5,000. So I really think it's, because of the mindset and the belief and just understanding if you have the right value proposition, it's just, and sometimes, which is amazing, it's easier to sell the high price item than it is the low price item. And that's very counterintuitive for many people. And too many people, as you and I both know, Dave, have tried to make it in this business on volume, right? Well, if I just sell people at $1,000 or $2,000, it's like, yeah, but that takes a long time, to get up to 100,000. I remember when, I forget who, it might have been Dan Kenny or someone else, showed us the math, right? Like, if we just do this simple example, the quickest way to 100,000 is one buyer at $1,000, or you can get two at 50,000, or four at, 25,000. But if you're going to do it at, $1,000, you need 100 new clients, right? Or 2,000, it's 50 new clients. So when we look at the math and everything else, I think that's the biggest difference, is just having the understanding and the belief that if you're able to do the high ticket sale, you're going to get, you're going to get clients that are more compliant. That's what we find, right? The more they invest, they're more compliant. They're more engaged. They tend to have more success. I mean, everything seems to work better at that high ticket level. It's just wrapping your mind around it. For some people, just never wrap their mind around being able to do it or believing they can do it.
Yeah, very, very well put. Now, I mean, you and I both been around the business long enough. We know some guys out there that are amazing stage speakers, amazing at sales, and absolutely suck at delivery. And they're pretty good at selling 10, 15, 20, $30,000 things, but then they completely crap the pants when it comes to delivering on that. So what is your take on that, having seen the good, the bad, the ugly in the industry, as far as deliverables and what we can do to make sure that we're living up to the claims that we promise people?
Well, I think in a lot of those cases that we've seen where, we have these, let's call them magical salesmen or mystics or whatever that could sell from the stage. And we both seen them that they can sell $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 package, like just naturally off them, is that a lot of times they don't have the right partner with them. They don't have the right operations person or someone that can actually do the fulfillment. So, the best situations I've seen is we have the salesperson on the one side that can sell the package, but he needs to get together with an operations and fulfillment person. They need to become congruent about what can they actually deliver, so that the promises can be fulfilled. And too many times those people try to do it all, and they just try to hire some assistant or someone else, and they're going to do the fulfillment. Well, they can't do the fulfillment. So you need to have some congruency between the two people, the actual fulfillment or operations person and the person that's going to sell the actual program from the stage. And a lot of times I found that these salesmen can be so good that as we both know, they can overhype the promise, and they don't need to do that to make the sale. They make the promises, the outcome, so outrageous because they think that's what it needs to make the sale. Where most people, if there was something just, more realistic. So like if I take, for example, from Ted Thomas, like, our promise, is that you're going to make, $25,000 or more on property. That's our goal for you, right? We're not promising that you're going to make $100,000 on each deal or $200,000 on each deal. We don't need to do that. For a lot of people, they go, yeah, okay, if I could do a couple deals a year and I can make $25,000 or more on a deal, I'm going to make an extra $50,000, or it works for them. We don't have to overhype that. Where we see in a lot of cases, people would overhype that. Say, well, no, people don't want to make at least $100,000, $150,000 a deal like they see on HGTV or something else. It's like, no, you need to make that promise realistic enough that the person says, yeah, that's something I want. So you do it in your business, Dave. I mean, you could make your promises and your outcomes, a lot bigger, but you go, well, let's be realistic, right? And I think in this market,
Yeah, well, I think it depends a lot on your audience as well, and I think audiences have become a lot more sophisticated over the decades.
yes,
And the guys standing beside the Lambos with the bikini-clad babes and all that kind of stuff. That's, well, I guess it's still happening.
yes, it's still happening, just not as much, but it's still there. Yeah, for certain people.
I used to be front and center on infomercials for real estate stuff all the time.
Yeah,
And I think the audience has kind of gotten wiser to that, especially older audiences. So yeah, having realistic claims and offers just resonates with people. It's more believable these days. Definitely a lot easier to deliver on, that's for sure. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So DJ, you are one of the most avid students of marketing that I know, and you're always looking at what's working and what's going on and what the newest trends are. So as we're recording this, middle of 2025 right now, what do you guys find is working best for you when it comes to lead generation for your business?
Well, as you know, I mean, lead generation is the lifeblood of this business. It's the oxygen of all our businesses here. And it seems to be, you know, always shifting or always a challenge, right? So things that are still
It never stays the same for very long, does it?
no, and it never stays the same. And that's the biggest challenge is it never stays along. I mean, one thing that's always been stability for us and always has been good for us is joint ventures. You know, if we can make the joint ventures work, and it's always been a steady, you know, and those work very well for us, right? Organic, you know, was working, you know, very well and still can work well in certain situations. But as everybody knows, that you know, the algorithms and other things have switched, so it's more challenging. But organic traffic is still our best buyers for sure. I got some on my door. Can we pause for a second?
Yep. All right, DJ. So, you know, a lot of people try a lot of different things when it comes to lead generation. One of the things that's it's amazing about you is you're always looking at what's working. You're always measuring things. You're testing things. You're keeping a really good eye on things with the business. What do you find is working best for you guys these days, mid 2025, for lead generation for the business?
Okay. Well, one that's, you know, always been a steady for us because, you know, as you know, things constantly change in the market is joint ventures. So if we can, you know, get a good match in a joint venture, they work well for us. So
what does that even look like for you guys? What does joint venture mean to you?
well, it means for us, you know, many times it's finding someone else that's has a list, could be an influencer, someone else that has clients that are interested in real estate. Those are the best ones for in real estate investing. And then being able to do a promotion to their list. And the one that works best for us right now is to drive them to our virtual 1-day workshop. And then we have them attend there. And then it just depends on the partner that we're working with. We do some sort of revenue share, just depending what the situation is. You know, sometimes it's a reciprocal deal, sometimes it's not a reciprocal deal. So we just do our best to, you know, make a match so it's a win-win for both parties. Those are always good for us. You know, we do more of them if we could. That works well. Organic still works well for us overall, though, you know, the leads generated from organic have gone down, but there's still some of our best buyers come from.
What does organic even mean for you?
Well, organic for us is, you know, Ted has a YouTube channel. It's not the biggest YouTube channel in the world, but it brings a lot of quality clients to us. We also write a lot of blogs. So we get a lot of blog posts that go out there. So anybody that's sort of searching or finding us, you know, on the internet, maybe they've heard from someone else at TED.com, so that's worked well for us. We also do, you know, paid advertising like many other people do, and that's a constant challenge up and down to make that work. But what works best for us in the paid advertising is retargeting. You know, I think, you know, I've reawakened or relooked at retargeting, and there's a lot of, there could be some sophisticated models, you know, like some people use a flywheel model for sophistication and the retargeting. So the retargeting all sorts of different leads at different times with different offers and everything else. So I think one area for us even to grow in is to get more sophisticated in the retargeting. You know, I thought at one point retargeting was pretty simple, just retarget your current leads, but there's a lot of different sophistications you can do in retargeting those leads. So that's another area that's working well for us. You know, so it's always a constant game, as you know, you're constantly looking and changing and trying to find different lead sources or different advertising platforms.
Yeah, and then it's so annoying when, you know, you finally dial something in. So you guys had your YouTube channel just rocking and rolling for a couple of years. And I mean, that took a massive amount of time and effort and money to make that happen. Then flick of the switch, it seems like Google and YouTube changed the algorithm and the traffic drops drastically overnight, pretty much, right?
Yeah, you know, within a week or it drops dramatically. When we say dramatically, it drops 70-80%, right? I mean, it's humongous, not a minor drop. It's just a major drop, right?
That's what annoys me so much about social media platforms. We really have such little control over these things and change all it.
Unfortunately, I agree. Definitely frustrating from.
Now that AI's become such a big thing, are you guys exploring anything along that? I've heard kind of some murmurings around doing certain things to show up more on Chat GPT references and things like that. What, if anything, have you guys heard about that?
I've heard a little bit. We're doing a few little things there. I wouldn't say we're doing too much. But we are it's a hard battle because it's hard to know if it's working or not. But I mean, if we look up, certain searches on, let's say ChatGPT or something, I mean, Ted Thomas will show up as one of the references. It seems like the new Google AI search is also tying into references of where they're getting the information more. So we're showing up a little bit more there. And I think, for example, Google's trying to find their balance, right? Because they still need their pay per click, so their paid advertising, right? So they're in a battle with AI now. Like, as you know, if these search engines aren't careful, they're going to become irrelevant, or they're becoming irrelevant, right? Where it's like, well, why do I need a search engine when I can go to ChatGPT or another, AI platform to get my information from? So there's a big battleground that seems to.
Plus, we could skip when we do the search there. We could skip the 4 pages of ads that show up first, and get to the
things. So we're theoretically, so we're trying a little bit in that area, just to explore and just see, and we're always looking for different ways to get more traction with organic, or be able to find that balance between because there's a blend sometimes with organic. You still pay for the click to get that organic lead, but they search you out to find you, and they got intent, right? Because they've been looking for you, so that's important.
Another challenge a lot of people are facing these days is even staying in touch with their own list. So with email deliverability challenges and, just Gmail making it so easy for people to opt out of stuff, and Gmail kind of basically just arbitrarily deciding what's spam and what's not, no matter what you've whitelisted or what that's. It's getting more and more challenging. What have you guys found works best for you these days for staying in touch with your list?
Well, there's no doubt that email deliverability is just a major challenge that seems to be coming since AI's picked up gear. It's becoming harder and harder, right? Where before, like even 12 months ago, email deliverability, it was an issue, but it wasn't that big of an issue. Now it becomes big an issue. So we're finding, when we can, SMS is effective to get a hold of the client. Actually just reaching out and calling the client is a lot, where we're trying to get the conversation going by SMS. And then we're getting to the point where we're doing a live call or live connect, with the prospects or the clients in that way, trying to send messages out by SMS, and then, drive
messages,
text messages, and then just send them to and try to send them to a quick sales page, which could have the whole, what we would normally send in an email, just have it up on a web page. So they would click, and then it's like they're reading an email, but they're going to a actual plain Jane white sort of sales page that has the copy that you wanted. But the biggest challenge is, that a lot of people are facing is actually just getting your message delivered, right?
Yeah.
Let alone what the message is. So that's definitely a challenge that's happening right now.
Well, we kind of grew up and cut our teeth on direct mail. I wonder if we're going to be getting back to sending out letters.
I wonder, it's going to cut some ways. It has, I think it can be. It's just the challenge in direct mail is still, it can be very expensive, so
it's huge. I mean, we got so spoiled with free email for decades and everything like that.
I think it's going to make a resurgence, some of the direct mail and everything else, to get the messaging that way. I think the new playground will be the text messaging, right?
Well, it has been for a lot of people, but again, that's, in my not too educated opinion, that's dangerous, right? Because if you do it wrong, there are some pretty big penalties that could be.
Absolutely, you can basically get banned, so you have to be definitely
fined. It could be some scary stuff. So you got to make sure that you're doing it right and
absolutely
kind of good stuff. Very good, DJ. Well, as we're kind of wrapping things up here, here's kind of a fun question. So, let's say you were starting all over again from scratch tomorrow, right? And you were you had your own offer, high ticket offer, whatever that might look like, but you're starting without any audience, no traffic. What would you do in the next 30 days to get at least your first high ticket client?
Wow. Well, if I still had my contacts, my people, I still knew the people I knew, within the
You miss
industry.
your contacts, but you don't have like a big database of
I don't have big databases. Okay.
prospects, right?
What I try to do in the first 30 days to get our first high ticket client is I would partner up with one of my contacts or someone that I know and come up with a program that would work for both of us and try to make it whatever the product was, the program was, not in direct competition with that person's list, like something, an add-on or another service that they could use. So for example, like in real estate, it could be anything like, how to get the money, like what you do, which is not a direct competition with Ted, who sells, if I was using Ted as an example, selling a real estate program, and it's like, well, how do you raise the capital? That's a perfect fit. That would be a good fit for that list. So that, we could teach them that, or I could find someone that's doing marketing or something, to clients, and then just come up with a service that's related to it, but it's not directly what they're selling. It's like an add-on, and then you could do some sort of partnership deal or something with them. And that would be probably the quickest way I would do to get, a couple high ticket sales, get a couple clients going, then I would build from there.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, and I think we both have experience doing things like that in the past. Sure. So that's something that makes a lot of sense. And again, it's providing value for everybody. Your partner is not already doing that. You're offering to create that from scratch and do all the work. All they have to do is kind of put you in front of their audience. You're providing a new service and a new value to their audience that they don't currently have. So at the end of the day, everybody's happy, and it's a way for you to shortcut your path to success. Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, DJ. Well, this has been a lot of fun. If people would like to connect with you and find out more about Mr. DJ Richoux, what should they do? Where should they go?
Probably LinkedIn's probably the best place to go, right, Bay?
I think that would probably work, and you're probably the only guy with that name on LinkedIn. At least the only one that's living in Vancouver.
Definitely the only one that's living in Vancouver, yes.
So people just go to LinkedIn and type in DJ Richoux, Richoux. That should take you to the man himself, and feel free to connect and let him know that you heard about him on the High Ticket Success podcast. DJ, thanks for being part of the show, my friend.
Hey, you're welcome. It was good catching up, Dave.
Talk to you. All right, everybody. Take care, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to the High Ticket Success podcast. Want to be featured? Share your story and inspire other premium coaches, consultants, and advisors? Apply now at highticketsuccesspodcast.com/guest.